What's up, guys? It's Christian from the Jets Report, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on the Kenny Yeboah situation for the Jets and what we should do with him for this upcoming season. But before we get into that, I want to let you know you can follow me on Twitter at Jets_CP. I love being a part of Jets Nation on Twitter. I love seeing different takes, and I love posting my own takes. So if you want to give me a follow, it'll really mean a lot at Jets_CP, and let's get into the video. Kenny Yeboah signed as an undrafted free agent with the Jets after this year's 2021 NFL Draft from Ole Miss. The 22-year-old stands at 6'4", 240, and he impressed a lot during his time at Ole Miss, especially during his senior season, where in 2020 he played 7 games and recorded 27 receptions for 524 yards and 6 touchdowns. Kenny Yeboah was actually expected to be drafted this year, and his stock was slowly rising, especially on day 3 of the draft. I know a lot of people, including Jets fans and me, wanted to take Kenny Yeboah, especially in that 5th to 6th round range. And when he fell to the 7th round, I was just begging for the Jets to take him. We ended up taking Jonathan Marshall, which, Marshall's been having a good preseason himself, but I really wanted Kenny Yeboah. And then when I find out we signed him as an undrafted free agent, I was super pumped, giving him a shot. I don't know how he went undrafted. I think he was one of the biggest steals. He's just such a good player in the pass game. He's literally like a receiver out there. He was a touchdown machine at Ole Miss. Just stuff you love to see from a tight end that you're going to get as an undrafted free agent. And the Jets tight end room is very weak, as we all know. Tyler Kroft is tight end 1. Then we have guys like Chris Herndon, who's been disappointing since his rookie year. Ryan Griffin, who's been disappointing since that stretch of games that he had. So, I was just happy to bring in some help to the tight end room. And now with the way that Kenny Yeboah is playing and progressing along this preseason, he's really forcing his name into the conversation to make the roster. I mean, he did have a rough start against the Giants preseason week 1. He got hit hard. He kind of got helicoptered for a fumble. But then he had a steady improvement in preseason week 2 against the Packers, and it really shined with a lot of reps against the Eagles. He had 4 receptions for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just stuff you love to see from Kenny Yeboah. He obviously caught that amazing Hail Mary from James Morgan to tie the game. Just awesome stuff, and he even got the game ball after the game. So, he's really forcing himself into the conversation of making this roster. Obviously, cutting the roster down from 80 to 53 players is a big ask for guys like Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, and Kenny Yeboah as an undrafted free agent might get the short end of the stick, but he's really doing everything in his power to prove that he could be on this football roster, and I just love to see that. To go over how Yeboah can make this roster and his skill set, Yeboah is an elite pass catcher, as I said before. Obviously, he balled out against the Eagles, posted 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. You also look at his time at Ole Miss, 6 touchdowns in 7 games, 524 yards in 7 games. Just great stuff. Obviously, puts up numbers in the pass game. A quarterback's best friend can be his tight end if he's always open, a big target. Yeboah stands at 6'4", 240. And, just open over the middle, safety blanket. Young quarterbacks love tight ends like that. But obviously, Yeboah has some weaknesses if he went undrafted, and that is his blocking. In both the run and pass game, he lacks that. He's more of like a receiving threat at tight end. And obviously, if you're trying to make a roster as a tight end, you want to have some blocking ability. So that could definitely hold him back and definitely be a reason why he doesn't make this roster. But talking about how he fits on this roster, I feel like Tyler Kroft is obviously the tight end 1. You saw how he played against the Packers. He was kind of Zach Wilson's safety blanket. A lot of play action dumps to him. He had 2 touchdowns. Great stuff. But then the rest I feel like is wide open. You have guys like Ryan Griffin, Chris Herndon, Wesco moved the fullback, and then you have guys like Kenny Yeboah. And I think the Jets will try to keep 3 tight ends on this 53-man roster, and Kroft is going to be one of them. So I think there's 2 spots open, and maybe Yeboah can shoot for one of those 2 spots. I feel like Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are really trying to really try to implement this youth movement on the roster. So that definitely gives Kenny Yeboah a leg up. And also another thing to note, which is plays a big factor. Both Herndon and Ryan Griffin don't have any ties to Joe Douglas or Robert Saleh. Ryan Griffin was given that contract by Mike McCagnahan, and Joe Douglas did not draft Chris Herndon. So those are 2 interesting points. And obviously, Joe Douglas doesn't have huge ties to Kenny Yeboah because he was only an undrafted free agent. But it definitely does give Yeboah a little bit more of a chance. And also, guys like Mike LaFleur, who was the former passing game specialist at the San Francisco 49ers, loves their tight ends. Obviously, George Kittle played a huge role in that offense. And obviously, I'm not comparing Kenny Yeboah to George Kittle, but I know Mike LaFleur likes his receiving tight ends, and I feel like that could definitely play a big role because you saw how Kenny Yeboah was used, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's just Kenny Yeboah can be Zach Wilson's best friend at times if he really works hard and makes the roster and is given an opportunity. Because I feel like Yeboah is such a big threat to score touchdowns. He's a big guy over the middle of the field. And I feel like Zach Wilson might be able to fall in love with him because, as you saw in preseason week 2, Zach Wilson loved his tight ends. So if I was asked the question, do you think Kenny Yeboah makes the roster? I think he does, and I think he makes it over Chris Herndon. I think the 3 tight ends that'll make this year's roster are Tyler Kroft, obviously, then Ryan Griffin, then Kenny Yeboah. Now, I think Chris Herndon's the odd man out because obviously he had that great and promising rookie season with Sam Darnold, but he's really fallen off since, and he's just gone quiet into the sunset. And Joe Douglas has no ties with Chris Herndon, and I feel like Joe Douglas hasn't seen any productivity with Chris Herndon while he's been a part of the Jets. So I feel like Joe Douglas says, you know what, you were given a chance, I'm going to cut you loose, and he's going to give a young guy like Kenny Yeboah a shot who's been really working hard all preseason. So I think Ryan Griffin gets kept on the roster because he is good in the blocking game, and we need blocking tight ends, obviously. Tyler Kroft is more of a blocking, role player tight end. He's not a big pass-catching guy. And Ryan Griffin is kind of the same way. So you kind of need that pass catcher, and I feel like Yeboah is both a more promising pass catcher than Herndon, and I think he could be a better pass-catching tight end than Herndon right now. So I think Yeboah gets kept over Herndon, and I think Yeboah is given an opportunity to flourish, and I think he'll be pretty solid. Obviously, I'm not expecting anything big from him this year. He's an undrafted free agent rookie. But I feel like with giving the right opportunity, he's going to have times to shine, and I think he's going to be really good. And I think he could I'm not saying he could solve this whole tight end problem that we have, but I think he could be a viable option and someone that we could look to in the passing game. So let me know your thoughts on Kenny Yeboah down in the comment section down below. I think he makes the roster. Let me know your thoughts on what the Jets. Let me know your thoughts on what you think the Jets should do with him. And as always, go Jets.